So the way this is set up, we're going to kind of have to stand by each other, which is going to make the next slide even funnier, because both of our names are Erik, spelled the same way. We're going to give you a test afterwards, so you guys make sure that you're paying attention. No, we're not the Blues Brothers, but this is Erik. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Yeah. Erik's here from Denmark. He's kind enough to join us today. He's been with Elos Medtech
15 years. Yeah, being involved in development on some of our own products. I don't know how familiar you are with Elos, and we don't have to go all the way back to where we started, but we are in the dental implant business as a manufacturer and have a lot of own products distributed by Nowak, among others. Yep.
We did a short introduction right there, but one of the things I want to do is I want to thank Nowak for inviting us to speak here today. Thank you guys for putting this on and having us in the room. And we also want to invite you to come by the Nowak booth, right? B47? All right. My information is correct. Go ahead, Erik.
Okay, so the title of this lecture presentation is "You might already be a validated milling center." Well, either you're a validated milling center or you're not, and I guess you know if you're a validated milling center. But we can hopefully give you some idea to navigate around that and still be able to do what you can do as a validated milling center. So where does all of this actually start from? Well, it starts from, I guess, from the digital implant dentistry. And digital implant dentistry, it probably took off like 10, 15 years ago when the desktop scanners started to have a quality that was good enough that you could scan on implant cases. Then you started to have intraoral scanners scanning in the mouth, and you combine it somehow with some CAD software to design your restorations, what you want to do, and then you either mill or 3D print whatever restoration you're doing. You can even go back a step and say, okay, for the implant planning, you use CBCT. You are able to do prosthetic-driven implant planning, and you can then do the guiding either freehand with haptic feedback like this from XNAV guide, or with a traditional printed or milled guide. All of this is part of digital implant dentistry. So
in order to understand where we're headed in the industry, we got to look back at where we came from. I've got 20 years plus in the industry, and this is what I used to do every day when I first got in the industry. I'm sure you guys did the same thing, where you would do manual impressions. You would go in there and do an open or a closed tray. I don't know how many of you have ever done that, but back in the day, in the 90s, that's what we did. We did a lot of this. And what it eventually led to was that we needed to find a better way. And what we've done is we've come up with this digital analog way of doing things. And the issues that we had, the inefficiencies, time consuming, high margin for error, material costs, turnaround time, it was not predictable. And so what we wanted to do is the industry wanted to find a way to do this. How many of you guys know Kevin Westerchek? You know, well, one of the things he says out there is a predictable workflow is a predictable cash flow. And that's what this digital dentistry will do, and the PNP. But before we go into that, we need to look at some of the analog data or digital data that's out there. We want to look at really why we're headed in this direction and how. I have a 7-year sample here from iData, and I'm a bit of a dental geek, but I'm also a demographics geek, data geek. You know, what is driving this industry? And right here you see a shift over the last 7 years from the business part of the business going from, and this is really hard for me to read because it's so small, but you guys can see it better here. Maybe if I step out.
Yeah, basically what you see, I guess, is back in the days, it was much more stock apartments. Custom apartments were small part of it, and then you had the CAD/CAM market. What is really growing now is the CAD/CAM, and this is basically where we're going with this presentation. So how can you tap into this this CAD/CAM business, because it is the future. It is what you can do with digital dentistry.
Correct. So the CAD/CAM final abutment market from 2017 to 2027, this gives you 10 years of what the run rate is and how it's growing. It's infographics. Another view demonstrating the shift of abutment market over a 10-year period and where it's headed.
Yeah, and maybe if you just go back to that slide, just to put some other words to it, maybe where the growth is in digital. So it's important for you guys to be able to provide services and workflow with digital dentistry. That's where all the growth will be going forward.
Okay. So the implant wars, they may not be what you think. A lot of people, when you think about implant wars, is what implant company is selling the most implants. But what we're looking at here is people looking for market share. Dentists are starting to place more and more implants. Back in the day, and when I say back in the day, in the 90s, it was only specialists that were placing implants. And the implants were placed pretty well. Even then they had mistakes. But as we have more and more GPs get into this part of the market, we're going to have more issues that are going to occur and rise up. As you can see right here, there's only 22,000, almost 22,300 specialists placing implants in 2017. They're only going to add about 300 more by 2027. But the GPs placing implants is going to almost double. So they're going to go from the implants being placed by specialists from 72% down to 63. You're going to have more and more GPs get into the market, and that's going to change the way we do things. GPs placing implants and restoring them. The shift is we're going to be dealing with inexperienced people with this part of the market. And the implant companies in the past have trained people pretty well, but now they're not training people the way they used to. And you have people that are out there doing weekend warrior programs. So the cases that are going to come into your office are going to be more, or your lab are going to be more and more challenging all the time. And that's something that we have to take into consideration. It's driving this market. So
yeah, okay. So coming back to the title of presentation. So why are we talking about these validated milling centers? Traditionally, dental lab work has been exempt. It has been very manual, artistic work. If we go a long way back, and there was really no way of controlling it from FDA side. What we are seeing now with this technology shift, where we go from the very analog to a digital and more industrial way of manufacturing, that actually allows you to set up systems for inspection and control of what you're doing, and by that, it has led to changes in the guidance from FDA, and nowadays there's a really clear guideline for what is called CAD/CAM abutments from FDA, and that includes both the tie bases and the pre-mill blanks that will allow you to make custom abutments, and there's going to be some FDA lingo in this. They use a lot of specific terms for what they're doing. But normally, the CAD/CAM abutments fall into a product code that is called NHA. It's not an abbreviation of anything that I know of. It's just random NHA. And if you go to the next one, if you're a bit nerdy, you can go to the FDA website and see this is sort of the explanation of the product code NHA. It's for abutments and implants, and it's to be used in conjunction with industrial dental implant fixtures to aid in prosthetic rehabilitation. So this is really the product code that FDA is using for anything type A's or custom abutments that is done by, well, not only by CAD/CAM, but everything that goes into this. So if you want to have a 510 clearance for a new implant, for instance, you will also have to look at this product code for the abutments that goes on top of it and whatever. If you go to the next one, so the guidance from FDA says you need to put specific wording in your indication for use. So this is just random example from BioHorizons. They have some titanium blanks. It's titanium bases and custom milled products. They are intended for their implant system, blah, blah, blah. If we go to the next one, you will see that specifically FDA tells you you have to write in the indication for use that all digitally designed abutments and all copings for use with BioHorizon CAD/CAM abutments are intended to be sent to a BioHorizon validated milling center for manufacturer. This also tells you you cannot do this in your own lab. You cannot mill a crown to put on top of a tie base, or you cannot mill a custom abutment in your own lab using these products with this 510K number unless you have been validated as a milling center by BioHorizons. That is probably not always the case what happens in real life, because I would imagine that it is actually possible to buy these tie bases and do it in your own lab, but then you are, I don't know the term, off-label. You're not acting according to what the FDA has set out. So what is this term validated milling center? Well, it's actually a term for what they consider to be a manufacturing partner, and they call it a contract manufacturer. And the contract manufacturer is responsible for adhering to the to whatever is put in the 510K, and in this case they need to be registered and have a listing of their own facility. Meaning, if you're gonna mill as a validating milling center, you have to register with the FDA. I believe that the fee for that is like 5,700. It's even more.
I think it's over $6,000 this year.
Old numbers. Now it's more than 6,000. And when you register, you sort of raise a flag to FDA and tell, I'm now a medical device manufacturer. I invite you to come and audit me and visit and see that everything is okay. And I have, by the way, also implemented a quality management system to make sure that I'm compliant.
So what we've talked about so far up to this point is traditional methods. We're going to introduce something to you in a few moments it's going to kind of change the way that you've seen the industry up to now. But this is a letter from the FDA to Tim Torberson regarding the validated milling center. And he was kind enough to loan this to us with Evo 820. I don't know if any of you know Tim, but he's a good guy, and he provided this letter to us. But it helps us to illustrate, what the regulations require currently, and what you have to do to comply with them. So we have a we have a validated milling center in America with Vulcan. Vulcan has gone through the process, and so we have the best of both worlds. We can offer you a P&P workflow so you can mill yourself, or you can go through Vulcan if you want to outsource it. What you have to figure out is, where you want to be in this scenario. Do you want to? Is it worth it for you financially? Buy the equipment to be a P&P or a validated workflow person with Elos, or do you want to? Do you want to outsource them, or do you want to? How do you want to handle this? And your business, it's your business. And I wish this was set up a little bit different. I have a formula financially here, if I can get to it. Yeah, this is. I'll get to the formula here in a few moments, but this one's actually you, Erik. You jump in.
Okay. Well, this basically just tells you that if you're a validated milling center, you need to have a quality system, and there are some requirements on how to set up this quality management system. It's according to a standard or according to FDA's own regulation. It's not necessarily a bad thing to have to set up a quality system. If you're a serious lab, you want to make sure that you have procedures for how to process what you're doing in a lab. So from that respect, by all means, we would definitely recommend everybody to have a quality system in what they're doing, especially if they have a size bigger than just maybe being one guy doing all of it. Have written procedures on how to deal with things to make sure that you have consistent quality in what you're doing.
Right now, the FDA is setting up a new regulatory system as of 2022, which is going to be internationally recognized regulatory requirements for QMS around the world to harmonize device manufacturing. So that's being set up. So what we're going to talk about today is an alternative approach. Recently, Elos has gone to the task of setting up a workflow that you can do in your own office. We're going to show you the way that it works, what the recipe is for tie bases and pre-mills. It's going to remove the requirement of having to be a validated milling center.
Go ahead, Erik.
Right. Yeah. So basically, what we will elaborate more on is what we call the P&P validated workflow. Like you saw earlier, NHA is an abbreviation from FDA for the let's say clearance, where you have to be a validated milling center. But they have a different way of looking at it, and we try to see, okay, so how can we maybe navigate around this requirement for being a validated milling center and still be compliant with guidance and rules and regulation. So again, a little nerdy. If you look at the P&P product code, you will see that this is much more about the CAM processing, the computer-aided manufacturing, digital dentistry for the manufacturing part. So if you prepare your 510K application right and apply for this P&P, of course there are some given things that you have to specify in a certain way, but it will actually allow you to navigate around this validated milling center part of it. You don't necessarily have to know all what's in the 510K, because it will be Elos who holds that 510K that allows you to mill in your own lab and still be compliant with rules and regulations. So this is basically what the indication for use look like. And the really important thing is, maybe you remember from the slide with the BioHorizons 510K, it said has to be sent off to a BioHorizon validated milling center. For this one, what's being stated is, and this is for a titanium base, it says the zirconia superstructures for use with the Elos Accurate hybrid base, that's our name for a tie base, are only intended to be designed and manufactured according to digital dentistry workflow. Not being sent to a validated milling center, but being designed and manufactured according to a digital dentistry workflow. That workflow integrates multiple components from intraoral scanners, CAD software, CAM software, ceramic material, milling machine, toolings, and accessories. And just one more, and one more. This is then for the customized abutment. Same wording, pretty much. It has to be designed and manufactured according to a digital dentistry workflow, and you have to specify scanners, software, milling machine, tools, and so on.
Accessories.
Yeah.
So this is me, Erik.
Okay.
So the PMP is much more specific, and it's about the workflow. It's not so much about the parts, the traditional 510K. This is really, was intended initially to be about computer programs with regards to manufacturing. But what we've done, or what Elos has done, is they took the workflow and plugged it in, and the FDA actually liked the way that this actually flows. And if you look at what the FDA is headed towards, this is probably going to be more and more common, PNPs. And we're the first people to come out with it, Elos, but you can bet that a lot of other companies are going to be following shortly, because this is the future with regards to manufacturing. You can come out with a consistent product every time you make something, and it's consistent enough for the FDA to sign on with this and give us the permission to do this ongoing. Right. So this is the validated workflow right here for the tie base. It tells you specifically what you have, what you need. Jeez Louise, what did I do there? The scanner is a 3-shape scanner. The design software is the 3-shape abutment design. The zirconia materials, Lava 3M. Milling unit is the Core-Tech IMSI core, and the material is the multi-link cement. And of course, with the Elos parts and pieces, we'll get more into this, but this is the basic recipe for the tie base. Go ahead, Erik. And I think the next one. This is for the pre-mill. The pre-mill is even simpler right now. It's the scanner, the design software, and the milling unit. So if you follow this recipe right here, you can start milling as if you're a validated milling center in your own office. Now, we will get more into this as the presentation progresses.
Before I say anything about FDA, do we have any FDA inspectors in the room? Not really. Okay, because you could argue, why do they care about the cement and the zirconia for tie base and not for a custom abutment? It doesn't make sense, but that's how it is. What they care about here is, in principle, to make sure that you don't ruin the interface of the pre-mill blank. I don't know if you have all seen a pre-mill blank, but basically it's just a metal cylinder with the implant interface already pre-milled, and then you can mill whatever design that you designed. And of course, it's important that you do not destroy this interface that goes into the implant. That's where the implant company have put a lot of effort into making sure that it has the strength that is needed, that it's durable, that it will surpass this fatigue testing to make sure that when the patient have it installed, it will not break anything, basically. For some reason, FDA only cares about not harming this little interface. They also care about how, what design can you make of it, what's the minimum wall thickness, how much can you angulate and so on, but they don't care about what you put on top of it. That they did for the Type A's. Is that wise to have this distinction? Probably not, but yeah, that's how far FDA has come now. Maybe in a couple of years they will realize that they need to up the requirements a bit, but for now, it's actually enough just to specify scanner, software, and milling machine. And this is where it becomes interesting for you guys, of course.
So we've had this now since November, December, and we've introduced the concept to a couple of labs and a KOL and KOL lab in Southern California. Some of you are familiar with the Iverson Dental Labs, and this is one of your colleagues' opinions of it. I mean, it's pretty exciting. It takes a little bit of time to sink in and understand the power that this provides to you as a business person. But what it does is it changes the level of playing field. The implant companies no longer they call the shots, of course, but this also allows you to be able to mill. You don't have to be a validated milling center from an implant company anymore. You can go out and use a company like Elos and mill as if you're a milling center, a validated milling center.
So the blanks, right now Sjogren makes a blank.
Yeah.
You use it, and it comes with that connecting piece that we're not allowed to mess with. And the reasoning that I'm understanding from that is that, well, Sjogren has calibrated the torque and the fit and everything else, and anybody who makes anything that's outside of there, according to the patent, has to be 20% different, and that kind of difference can lead to micro movements and can be bad for the dentition, bad for the patient, bad for the implant,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. So there's like clinical backing of like why you don't want to mess with that interface. But what I'm curious about is this warranty.
Yeah.
So if an implant fails,
Yeah.
and the abutment breaks,
Yeah.
the implant company tells us, okay, yeah, we'll help you out, no problem. Here's a new implant.
Yeah.
But they won't pay for the crown that broke in the patient's mouth. So I have to make another crown still. And
Yep.
for all that costs. And so they won't cover the crown. So what, this is the offer of warranty that supersedes the implant manufacturers. That's the only thing I could possibly think of. Is there you guys' warranty willing to cover the cost of the crown? And is it willing to take any kind of liability that may fall on the doctor that his malpractice insurance won't cover, or it's too crazy like that? What does this warranty do that's so much better than the implant companies?
One of the things that we would like to discuss again, because this is also
Yeah.
used information, but normally we match the warranty.
Our warranty matches their warranty.
But it's interesting to have that input.
Yep.
We haven't considered that part as an issue. But we could, so I can't give you a...
She's a decision maker. she that's the person you want to talk to about this, because maybe we can have a warranty better than the implant company.
Yeah.
I mean, you're the person that gets to make that decision.
Yeah, I was just
So,
wondering because that's what the comment says, and that's what we're...
well, what he's happy about is he can use I hate to call us a third party, because we're not really a third party manufacturer. We're, but we fall kind of into that category. We've got one leg in and one leg out, because we also manufacture implant companies.
You just make blanks. So what is it?
We manufacture implants too for companies, but we don't sell them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what are we getting through you?
Well, what you're getting in this is that you get the opportunity to mill a custom abutment in-house. Mm-hmm. If you say you can buy a blank from Sjogren, then I can tell you, then you have to be a Sjogren validated milling center in order to mill it, because Sjogren doesn't have a PNP on there. I encourage you, go to FDA website. You will find 25 510Ks with this PNP, and I don't see Sjogren having one for their pre-mill abutment on any of these. So you have to be a validated milling center. And that's also sort of the message we're trying to give here. If you care about risk management, then you should probably either become a validated milling center if you want to continue with milling the original Straumann. Then you should talk to Straumann and ask them what is needed to become a Straumann.
Am I getting away with this, Straumann? Am I getting away with it?
We are offering you an alternative where we say you don't have to sign up and become a medical device manufacturer. You just have to have the right equipment, and of course follow the instruction for use that comes with the premium blank, and not design outside of design limits and all of that. That's being controlled in the software. But then you actually get a product that lives up to the guidance from FDA. It's within the 510K that we have had clearance for.
So
There was another question.
I got a thing to add to this, because we have an M-Series mill from Straumann.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole workflow is validated using, file comes in from 3Shape, use their CARES match, and it's connected to the AG under a Straumann mill. The whole workflow is 510K.
That's a closed workflow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ours is open.
what's the? I mean, it sounds like it's a similar kind of the PNP. It's like they're validating. So whoever buys it is 510.
Yeah, so they probably sell the complete equipment and maybe a quality system and say, if you buy this package, then we will automatically tick you off as being a validated Straumann milling center.
Similar to the PNP, but
Similar to the PMP, but it's not really the PMP because you have to be a validated milling center. I guess you have registered to be a medical device manufacturer. Then I think there's a mismatch.
so with the PNP, you still have to register.
No.
No, but if you produce under this NHA, then you have to register. You saw the letter from FDA. You have to be a validated milling center. And if you're a validated milling center, you're a contract manufacturer. If you're a contract manufacturer, you have to register and have a site registration. So if
Now, before this milling came around, my dad in the 90s was making implants. Okay, so yeah, he was there for that very painful, less than 90% success rate of implant back in the early 90s. But the way you did custom abutments back in the days, you just buy a stock abutment and you cut it to size.
Yeah.
yeah,
Easy
sure,
as that, right?
sure.
I mean,
That was a
You're doing a titanium blank. Essentially, all you're doing is you're shaping into whatever shape you want, and you're having one solid piece. And it comes with the engagement part already milled. That was milled by a validated workflow that was FDA cleared, and then they sold us just this big hunk of metal attached to that.
Right.
Yeah, and you would manually more or less grind.
So it's the same
And
thing as buying a stock.
that's what we said initially. In the old days,
Yeah.
it was done manually, so it was hard to set up these requirements on how to inspect and make sure. Now that it's more industrial, it's designed in a CAD program. You can set up different, let's say, gates to make sure that you cannot design out of specification and so on. If you're grinding in hand, I bet you can grind it completely down to zero. And nobody would, in principle,
there's
know
abutments
or
that
care.
are made. They have lines to lay in. Somebody, it's made to be cut up by hand, so that you can make it fit whatever size you need. Okay.
I think the biggest difference is since it's all automated in CAD, you can literally produce the same abutment exactly the same multiple times. So
Right.
now it's considered manufacturing
Right.
instead of a one-off.
Yeah,
Even
it's
though each abutment is completely different,
The process.
potential is there.
Yes.
to just, hey, I'm making
exactly.
my abutments.
That's what
That's
allowed
what this
FDA
is.
to make
You
this
got it.
guidance
This is
and
a
say now
process.
it's
That's the-
It's a
industrial.
cookie cutter recipe for being able to be validated or act as if. Yes, sir.
So, question I have, going back to your PNP, open system, which is good. Why are you so specific on the scanner, the software, and the zirconia, since the scanner software and zirconia from different manufacturers are pretty similar?
We're going to get to that.
Do
Do you want to
Sure.
address this now, or do you want to get to
Why
it?
are you so specific on
I-
the type of? I can understand the mill, But the
Yep.
scanner, the software, and the zirconia, why are you so specific on that?
Well, we got some feedback from FDA when we did the first 510K, and they said you need to specify exactly what scanner you're using. A scanner doesn't have a 510K number, it's not a medical device. The design software is a medical device, it has a 510K number. So if you're using 3-shape, and we have put in our 510K that you have to use this version of 3-shape with this 510K number. Same goes for the cement and zirconia, also has a 510K number, treated as a medical device. The milling machine is not a medical device, it's just a milling machine, and that's the reason they say you need to validate it in your own process and say this gives the correct output, and then you can list that in your 510K. What it opens up for is, of course, that we can do the same validation with another milling machine and another scanner, all that doesn't have the K number. We can validate individually and then open up to have a broader spectrum.
I understand, but you couldn't say you could use a scanner that fits these criteria.
That will be a letter to file.
Zirconia, that this criteria.
That's the direction we're going.
Yeah.
That's where we're headed. That will be the letter to file. This is what we have for now, but you add letter to file and you can increase and move in directions. We don't want to go where it's, right now, lava, who uses lava? Does anybody here use lava? Does anybody here from lava? Okay, don't want to offend anybody, but it's what they would allow. So now what we need to do is we need to prove that anything that's as good or better than lava should be able to be added to the workflow, and then you add letter to file. And same with the scanner. Yes, it'll broaden. But we had to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
This is you, I believe.
Well, I can easily do it. So this is, why do you at all want to go into this milling your own custom abutments? I guess if you talk to the implant companies, they prefer to have centralized milling. Nobel has Procera, Dentsply has Atlantis, and they say, if you want the best quality, send it to us and we will mill it. But it's probably more than 1 day. It's probably like a week turnaround time to get the products back. The pricing, definitely different if you go for the centralized milling from the implant companies. Quality, well, when we look at what we can achieve with the milling machines that are available for lab site, you can easily compete with what you get from the centralized milling. So basically what this gives you is more design freedom, faster production time, and definitely some savings. So
conservative.
A good predictable workflow is a good predictable cash flow.
Right.
Well, I mean, I can see some unpredictability here right now. I mean,
Okay.
so Straumann, for example, because I'm getting airplanes, I don't have a Straumann mill. I'm
Yep.
just getting away with it, I guess.
Yep.
Don't tell anybody. But they obviously, the biggest thing is we can do the 1 day in-house milling. Yeah, that's assuming you have that blank on hand.
Right.
So now we're assuming we have an inventory of it, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
And we're also assuming that the supply chain is going to maintain that inventory. And that's one thing I'm having problems with Straumann is their supply chain. Every implant company since 2020, I think they're all just using it as an excuse since 2020. Yeah, they're getting the implants in is somehow just the most challenging thing in the world now. And now I've had to have a huge. I used to have like almost no inventory of implant part. Now I have to have
Right.
two of everything.
Right.
And because I can't count on it
Being in stock.
time anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're still looking at.
This is conservative. Yeah, this is super conservative. You always want to try to go the conservative route because you don't want to the
So
bear,
you guys have
but
problems with
it's a lot bigger than this number. And then the other thing, I mean, if you want to look at how many units are coming in, what's the total cost to do this if you don't already have the IMUS mill, or what is the cost for the material and the equipment and the labor versus the amount of pre-mill opportunities and tie bases that you have coming into your office versus what your potential could be for growth. And if you run that formula, and it's easy enough to run it, you take those numbers, you can figure out at what point your break even will be with this.
But to your guys' mill, right?
No, it's not our mill. We don't make the mill. It's just one of the mills.
But to your point, you need to have a decent number for this to be attractive, because you need to have the inventory of the pre-mill blank. If you want to be able to mill in 20 minutes, then you need to be able to pick it from the drawer. Of course.
Right now, I'm kind of old school. We're getting away from it, but we're still casting our gold crowns. So I got like $20,000 worth of alloys in a safe at any given time, just sitting there doing nothing. And I don't want to have that same problem with implants.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we have a pretty fast turnaround time. How quick can you get product out? If somebody were to order today, you could have it tomorrow, basically. Yeah, I mean, we have it in the United States. You're not going to have an issue that you're having with the implant companies with having back orders. If you do, it's because we don't have enough in the United States, and even our turnaround time from Europe to here is about 3 days now.
I also have to look at the market in terms of how much of my market is Elos, right?
Right. Well, I mean,
I have one doctor that uses Elos right now.
We manufacture parts for a lot of the implant companies, so we're not just Elos. We make parts for, I don't even know if I should mention the names, but yeah, a lot of the different implant companies. Pardon?
The top 3 implants.
Yeah. Yeah, we manufacture. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let's.
If you look on their packaging, it says made in Denmark or Sweden. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just to repeat, it's the digital dentistry workflow that allow you to offer this validated implant workflow without having to be a validated milling center. So there are some requirements on equipment, components, and materials. It's for the scanning, it's for the CAD design, it's for export and CAM software, and for the manufacturing. I mean, what's important to have predictability and good quality is, of course, that that you use good quality products. So your scanners should have adequate accuracy in what you're scanning. We have set it up and said, okay, the accuracy of the scanner should be better than 10 microns, and of course the scan body should also be of high precision. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if your scanner is good. If the scan body is off, then it doesn't really matter. So the Elos scan body, I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but I can say it's a very high precision component. Just roll it. There's a lot of good features in it. We have optimized the surface area of the scanner. There's just a very tiny hole for the screwdriver. The screw is retained inside, so it will not fall off. We have a metal interface insert that we color code in the same coding as the implant system, and sort of as a testament to the quality. You can just go to the next one. Oh, that went a little too fast. These are some of the companies that actually put our scan body into their implant libraries. So if you work with Nobel, if you work with Dentsply for Atlantis, you can scan with the IO flow from Atlantis, but you can actually also scan with the Elos accurate scan body. Same goes for BioHorizon, for Neos, even Medentica, even if you could say they are sort of a competitor of ours because they make the same kind of solutions that we do in terms of pre-mills and tie bases and so on. They even adopted our scan body into their library, and same goes for Straumann. So, as I mentioned before, the scanner is not a medical device, but the CAD software is, and I don't know, maybe sometime in the future the scanner will also have to have its own 510K number and be verified as a medical device, but nowadays it only goes for the CAD software. So 3Shape and Exocad has gone through the rigorous exercises of demonstrating that the software is okay, cannot be tampered with, and deliver the right output when you work with it. The software doesn't function without an implant library, and of course FDA says whatever you put in that library has to have a 510K number, so you cannot put a type A's in the library that is not approved for sale in US. You can only have components that are approved in US. We can go to the next one. Same goes for the rest of the components. This is an example of what the pre-mill will look like. Big cylinder and the implant interface. We have analogs for printed models, and we have titanium bases, and all of it aligned in a library. Then of course you need some CAM software to get from what you designed to the machine where you want to process this. That software is also not 510K approved or cleared. So it's not a medical device, doesn't have to have a 510K number. We will approve and validate these in our PNP 510K to make sure that you can work with more softwares. Then the milling machine, also not a medical device, so that we also have to validate in our process.
We're getting pulled off here. We're gonna shut it down. So,
sure.
If you get how to get started, we've basically posted everything, but let us know what if you have any questions. We can send this information out to you. You can get a hold of Nowak. I'm sure that they would let you.
Another session tomorrow?
Yep. No, we have another session tomorrow. We can cover a little bit more information. It's a lot of information. It's really complicated, and I know that it's a lot. But I would love to talk to you more about the warranty, because the warranty is really a game changer. Because we're superseding their warranty, and if for your time, it's up to Annetta, but we might be able to do something with that too.
Right. Any questions before we run off? All right. Thank you for being here.